Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. You know, nowadays it seems as though we are always super busy and we never have time to do much, let alone bake a fresh loaf of bread. Well folks, today I'd like to share a recipe with you that you could do no matter how busy you are and bake a fantastic loaf of bread at your convenience. Let's get started right now. And not only, folks, are we going to bake this at your convenience, but it's also super easy and it takes minimal time and effort to make. So let's start off. I have 450 grams of Manitoba flour. You could use all-purpose flour. Try to get a strong protein or a bread flour. Always works best, okay? 450 grams, which is about a pound or 16 ounces. And to that, I'm going to add 4 grams, which is about a teaspoon and a half of Diastatic malt powder. This is optional. You don't need it. I really like adding the malt powder. It helps with the yeast. Okay, and then we're going to add 9 grams of table salt, which is about 1.5 teaspoons or about 0.3 of an ounce. Okay, and those are our main ingredients or dry ingredients. All right, just mix them together. Okay, now I have here some active sourdough, as you can see. Now, if you don't have sourdough, no problem. I will tell you what to do. But we are going to add, I get my weigh scale, we're going to add 400 grams of active sourdough. So here we go, 400 grams of active sourdough starter. And now 400 grams, if I didn't mention it, folks, is 14.11 ounces. Okay, and if you do not have an active sourdough starter, as I mentioned, what you could do is just add 200 grams of flour, more all-purpose flour, and 200 grams of water, and 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. So that's what you could use if you do not have a sourdough starter. Okay, we're almost there. So just over 400. I'm going to take a little bit out. You could put a little extra in, but I'm going to stick with the recipe here. And we're going to go with our 400 grams. Beautiful extra sourdough starter, folks. Very good for you. Okay. But like I say, there is an alternative. All right. So that can go aside. Now we are going to also add 235 grams of warm water. And 235 grams is 8.2 ounces. Okay, I had pre-measured that and preheated it to about, when I say warm, it's about 80 degrees of temperature. And now, quite simply, just mix all those ingredients together. Okay, until it forms somewhat of a dough. Try to get as much of it as you can. Yes, of course, we're going to get in there with our hands. That's for sure. But you want to at least get it started, okay? All right, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to dig right in. So at this point, all you want to do, folks, is get this all incorporated. Pick up all that flour and begin to, what I'm going to call the pincer method, begin to squeeze it all together. But let's pick up all the flour first. Just keep working it until you pick up all that flour. Okay, yes, it's going to stick. It's going to stick, and that's quite all right. Alrighty. As we start to pick it up, you can start to squeeze it all together. And we're going to work this dough very, very nicely. Okay, once you've got all the flour picked up, you got pretty much most of it there. And what I mentioned is the pincer method. Just start squeezing it. Grab it, squeeze it. Grab it, squeeze it. Grab it, squeeze it. And turn it, lift it, squeeze it. And you're going to do this, and it's going to form a more consistent and smooth dough. And what you're going to want to do, folks, is we're going to want to do this, for about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, okay? And of course, if you have a dough hook, you could use a dough hook as well.
Okay, so let's continue doing this for about, a couple minutes or so.
Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes, and again, just kind of lifting it and squeezing it, and it's going to be very, very, very sticky, but as you continue to work it, the stickiness kind of goes away. It's still sticky, but it sticks less to you. And that's it. Our dough is now ready, and because I have this container, I'm going to put it in this container. Okay, because what we want to do now is cover it. If I would have left it in that bowl, I would have put a piece of plastic wrap on it and covered it that way. But because I have this beautiful container, we're going to cover it like this. Okay, so now, quite simply, all we're going to do is just cover it, and we're going to let it rest for 12 hours. Now, think about your busy day. If you're working, you could do this. It takes you 5 minutes. Call it 10 minutes max. Before you go to work, 10 minutes, you can get your loaf of bread started. That's all it takes. It's that easy. And if you have a KitchenAid with a dough hook, by all means use the dough hook. Let it blend for 2 minutes instead of kneading for 2 minutes. Same result will be. So again, at your convenience, I'm doing this before I go to bed. You could do it anytime you want, depending on your schedule. Just remember, it needs about 12 hours to double. And then after that, I'm going to show you what we do next and how easy it's going to be to bake this sometime later at our convenience. So I'll see you back in about 12 hours. Here we are, some 12 hours later, and yes, our dough has risen very, very nicely. Let's take a closer look. Okay. Ooh, very nice, very nice. Okay, so this is another very quick and easy step, folks, what we're going to do now. We're keeping with the same theme of quick and easy. So I have a bread bonneton here. I'm lining it with whole wheat flour. You can line it with any flour that you want, but I like whole wheat because it does a better job at avoiding the dough from sticking to the bonneton. If you don't have a bread bonneton, you can just use a regular bowl. Okay, it's no issue at all. So that's now lined. Let's take our beautiful dough. Let's take it out of this container. So I'm just going to use a spatula here and slowly work it out. Okay. Nice and easy does it. Okay. Beautiful dough, folks. It's firmed up very, very nicely. Look at that. Actually, a little bit here is stuck. I'm going to take that out too. Just don't want to waste it. Okay, there we have it. So now, very simply, we're going to do a four-fold, which means lift the one end, fold it over, lift the other end, fold it over, lift the other side, fold it over, and the other side, and fold it over. Okay, and now we're just going to turn it over and shape it into a round by basically cupping your hands around the dough and pulling it towards you. Pull it towards you, turn, pull it towards you, turn it around, pull it towards you. And as you're doing that, the dough is tightening up because we're doing it on a dry surface and it's gripping and forming into a tight ball, just like that. Now we're going to take that dough ball, place it in our bonneton. Now, here comes the convenient part, folks. Take a paper bag or a plastic bag, cover it with the bag. Okay. And now, here's the convenient part. We take our beautiful bread dough and I'm just going to put it in the refrigerator. That's it. Now all we have to do, folks, is wait for a convenient time to bake our bread. So we just leave it in the fridge. So I'm going to, you know what, I'll bake it tomorrow. I'm going to leave it there till tomorrow. Again, depending on your schedule, whatever works for you, whenever you want to put that fresh loaf or that dough into the oven and make a fresh loaf of bread, it's entirely up to you. If you do it within 2 days, that will be kind of your window. So I'm going to do it tomorrow at some time at my convenience. And I'll show you how easy it is to actually bake that bread, because we're going to bake it right from the refrigerator into the oven, and I'll show you that, and we'll do that tomorrow. Stay tuned. So here we are, folks, a day later. I got up this morning and said I'm going to bake that bread, and then guess what? A few things came up, and here I am now. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what I mean about convenient. So now I'm going to bake the bread. So I have here bone dry empty Dutch oven. Okay, if you're wondering what size it is, it's 4.7 liters in size. And I'm going to turn the oven on, and we're going to preheat the oven with the Dutch oven and the lid at 475 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to preheat it for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, our bread, our dough, is still in the refrigerator. After 30 minutes, we're going to take it out of the fridge and into the Dutch oven. So, I'll see you in 30. Okay, it's now time for our oven mitts. And here's another thing, folks. If you let it preheat beyond 30 minutes, that's perfectly fine too. Again, because our dough is in the fridge. You could preheat for 45 if you want, leave it in there for an hour. No, there's no rush at all. But we have time, so we're going to stick with our 30-minute preheat. Let's get that bread out of the, or let's get our dough out of the refrigerator. How about we take a quick peek at it? I can tell it's risen. So it rises nice and slowly in the refrigerator. Oh yeah, look at that, folks. Didn't that come nice? Look at that. Beautiful. It risen very, very, very nicely. Okay, come take a closer look and let's get it in our Dutch oven. Okay, let's remove that very hot lid. Okay, and then very carefully, I'm just going to take this beautiful dough, and it's been sitting there for a while, so it's slow to come out, folks, but there it is. And place it right into our Dutch oven. And now you're going to score the top so that it'll help with the rise. And you know what? Let's go with the letter C for convenient. Since it's such a convenient bread, let's just score the top. And if you don't have a bread lame, by all means, just use a pair of scissors. You want to go about a 1/4 inch deep or so. Okay, let's pop that in the oven. Okay, so the lid is on. We're going to leave the lid on, and in the oven it goes with the lid on, and we're going to bake it for 30 minutes. Here we are, 30 minutes later. Time to put our oven mitts back on and take a look at our bread. And it should have some color to it. Oh boy, that's beautiful. Beautiful, coming nice, folks, coming nice. Okay, the lid is off. And now every oven is different. Here you're going to want it to cook for another 10 to 15 minutes. In my oven, it usually goes around 12 minutes. And again, it depends on how dark or how light you want your bread to be. So we're going to let it sit for about 12 minutes, and we'll take a look and see if it's got the color we're looking for. It's time to take a look, folks. Okay, let's see how our 12 minutes have done. You know what? That's looking mighty fine right there. We're going to call it right there. It's golden brown. That's how Laura likes it. I like mine a little darker, but take a look at this beautiful bread, folks. My goodness. Okay. Take a look at that. Isn't that a nice loaf of bread right there? Absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look at the bottom. Oh, that's cooked perfectly, folks. That's what you want to see right there. Super, super nice. And look at the rise we got on that. We got a really nice rise on that with our sourdough. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here on a cooling rack. And we're going to let it sit for... it's still forming, so at least 15 minutes, okay? 30 minutes ideal. But I might have to cut into it in 15, we'll see. But we're going to let it cool on a cooling rack. If you don't have a cooling rack, then put it on maybe a wooden cutting board. You just don't want it to sweat underneath, so putting it on a rack is the way to go. We're going to let it rest a bit, and then, folks, the taste test. Okay, folks, I've almost gone the distance. It's been about 25 minutes, and I really think it's still nice and warm. I really, really need to cut into this bread, folks. I still can't believe that beautiful rise that we got out of that bread. It's absolutely beautiful. What a nice looking loaf of bread. But let's see how it tastes, folks. So, I'm gonna cut it right up the middle. And we'll take a look at the crust and the crumb. Oh wow, I mean, yeah, it's still steaming hot. But take a look at that. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. You can still see the steam coming from it, but it's got a nice spring to it. It's got beautiful crust and a nice crumb. Oh yeah, that's absolutely beautiful, folks, right there. And again, the bottom, to me, that's perfection right there. Okay, folks, the taste test. Wow, this looks really good. All right, I'm gonna just cut a little end off. And this is how I like to cut my bread if I'm serving for dinner. I cut it in half and then I'll put it on its face and then cut it this way and get some really nice slices of bread. Oh wow. Folks, this is what it's all about right here. It's nice and warm. Oh, that's really good bread. If you put butter on it right now, it'll just melt. The crust is amazing. The dough is amazing. The bread looks amazing. It can't get much better than this. And the beauty is, folks, I could have been working all day, come home, take it out of the fridge, into the oven. I've got a fresh loaf of bread for dinner. It really is that easy and that convenient. It's a bread, folks, that's made on your schedule, not on its schedule. Why not give it a try? I really hope you do. This is amazing bread. I'm so happy with it. Folks, wherever you're tuning in from, I want to thank you for spending time in the kitchen with me today. And as always, until next time, buon appetito. Maybe I will get a little butter.